Hey y'all, what's up? It is Roy here. Wanted to come on here and talk for a minute. I just got done speaking with a middle school Fellowship of Christian Athletes group. And it's a unique experience. It's something that is a challenge for me, as much as it is probably the most enjoyable thing you can do. I'm used to being at work in a jail talking to inmates and trying to tell them about Jesus. And it's amazing how you can use a message there and how you have to kind of work with it and mess with it to make that same message correlate and connect with middle schoolers. But it's amazing how God can do that. God can give you the words. God can give you a message and say, hey, tell them this. Today was one of those days where God got a hold of me several weeks ago and said, I want you to tell them where you messed up. And I don't think we often think about the times that we messed up, right? We always want to try to forget those times. We want to try to act like they didn't happen. But as I had the opportunity to come speak to this group, and I thought on it, and I started studying and thought, what do I bring them? God kept saying, bring you. God kept telling me, bring them you. Tell them about you and tell them where you messed up. And that was hard to do because I don't think I had ever really thought about it much since that time had happened. And I thought, man, you really want me to tell them? Like, you want me to tell them where I didn't do right? It was hard. And what's crazy is the number of years that can go by after something happens that all of a sudden God goes, hey, remember this? And so that's what I did today. I went and talked to this group at FCA, and this group of kids, huge group of kids. It was incredible to see. And I told them where I messed up. And I want to encourage you, if you're a Christian, to tell others where you messed up. Tell others where you fell short as a Christian. And I think you'd be surprised at how God can use that story. I think, now as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking of the stories in the Bible where God used the people that had messed up bad. I mean, let's look at the Apostle Paul. Saul literally walked around persecuting Christians. He literally had gotten orders and was going to take more Christians and bring them in when he had his encounter with God along the road, and his entire life changed. He went from being Saul and persecuting Christians to being spoken to and blinded by God, to having his eyesight restored by Ananias, to immediately going out and preaching. This dude didn't know what he was doing. He just went out and preached. He went out and told others about Jesus and what Jesus did for him. He didn't have no training other than, hey, are you a Christian? Yes. All right, I'm going to kill you. And God used him as perhaps one of the greatest apostles. Just a mighty man of God. He was so bad and messed up so bad that when he came to these Christians, they were like, we know who you are. And they didn't believe him at first. we know who you are. We know that you persecute us. You want to kill us. Matter of fact, you were on your way here to take us. And now you're here telling us about God? But when they heard him speak, and when they saw the change, they believed him. And they realized God truly has changed this man. And, I think in Matthew 10, 32, 33, those who will confess me before men, those also will I confess. And then I'm obviously shortening it down. Confess before my Father, those deny me, I will deny. And I think, man, I want to go forward and I want to confess him to everybody that I know. I want to tell everybody I can about him, and I pray that if I'm ever put in a situation where somebody asks me directly, that I'm willing to stand up and be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, let me tell you, regardless of what that may be. Maybe that's a time of persecution. Maybe it's somebody just being inquisitive. I don't know. But I pray that I have the strength to do that. But anyways, what I talked about today was a story from high school. And I was part of FCA when I was in school. I was part of FCA in junior high into high school. And I remember one night at FCA, we had pizza and drinks. We were in the big gym at San Marcos High School, doing a little booklet. And I remember the group of kids that I was with didn't, a beautiful deer right there. I remember the group of kids I was with, they weren't Christian kids. These were the same kids that, made fun of me during the school day. These were the same kids that, would literally bully me and torment me because I was different from them. Oh, she's doing it. Oh, deer just came across the road. That was scary. But that was those kids. It was those kids that I was there with that night that were cracking jokes and eating pizza and drinking sodas and doing all this other stuff except for what we were supposed to be doing. And I remember getting angry. I remember getting fed up to the point that I stood up and I yelled at them. And I told them they didn't belong there. I remember telling them that they didn't belong there. And y'all aren't Christians. Y'all treat me like this every day, blah, 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 blah. And I was angry and yelling at them. And I realized much, much later what a disservice I had done to them by acting that way. I realized what a disservice I had done to them by charging them so foolishly to say that they didn't belong there and that they weren't real Christians, and FCA was for Christians, and and I was wrong in that. And it took many, many years for God to show me that, to show me how wrong I was. And so that's what I talked to the kids about today. I talked to the kids about that group of FCA right there. Now, some of them may have 50 friends in that group. Some of them may have 2. And I talked to them about how FCA wasn't just for the Christian kids. FCA wasn't just for the kids that were raised in church and the kids that were Christians and the kids that, were different from everybody else. And I told them that, FCA is there for every child, every kid they knew, every friend they had, athlete or non-athlete. I know it's geared towards athletes. A lot of the teaching material and the lessons are geared towards athletes, but I mean, at that point in life, in middle school, most kids are some sort of athlete. And I told them how it's okay to be proud to be a Christian, but it's not okay to be a prideful Christian. And I realized, as I thought about it and as those words came out of my mouth, that at that time I had been a prideful Christian. I had put myself above them, like I was more important and more deserving to be there at FCA, to do this lesson book and eat this pizza than they were. And I did a horrible disservice to them because I showed them, in their minds possibly, that I was no different than they were. And I damaged my walk with Christ that day. I damaged what my testimony was at school as this kid that was supposed to be a Christian, and here I am yelling at them and telling them they don't belong there. Who am I? Who am I to say that to them? And all these years later, that's bugging me. The disservice that I did to them, and I try to think, did I ever get a chance to fix that? Did I ever get a chance to tell them I'm sorry for that? Did I ever get a chance to go back and tell them about Jesus again? And I can't think of a time that I did. I can think of times that I did further disservice after that. But I can't think of a time that I got to tell them about him. I can't think of a time that I got to say, I'm sorry for acting like I was better than you. I'm sorry for telling you didn't belong, because everybody belongs. And so, in a way, I hope and pray they get to see this video. And those that were there that night get to realize that they had every right to be there as much as I did or more. They were deserving of that night. And though maybe they didn't have the focus at the time I thought they should have, that doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what they were there for, what their real intentions were. God has the ability to reach them and teach them and show them, the same as me, the same as anybody, that they belong there. That table is open. FCA is open. AIA is open. All these other groups are open to believers and non-believers alike. And be there. Don't let the exclusion of one person at some point stop you from including yourself or being included in something you absolutely should be included in. Don't let one prideful person tell you you don't belong somewhere and then not go there and not be there because that one person may realize 20 years later how wrong they were to say that, and maybe never get a chance to apologize. So I'm going to apologize now for that day. I want to apologize for saying what I said that night and telling them they didn't belong there, because they did. And I hope they, by some chance, get to see this and hear this. But yeah, it's okay to be proud to be a Christian, but don't be a prideful Christian. Invite others. Everybody belongs. And yeah, I think I just wanted to talk about that. I just wanted to talk about where I had messed up, and God's really dealing with me about that. And hopefully this video reaches the message it's intended for. Hopefully this video reaches the crowd it's intended for. I'm glad God showed me that what I had done, what I still do at times, and I need to fix that. But anyways, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, wow. But I appreciate it, and I love y'all, and I pray for y'all. Y'all have a good day.